Oh, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the NLC. We are both excited for the same reason, I promise you, and it's the fourth and final game of the day. Ruddy Esports going up against Fourth Wall. And I said that last game was going to be one-sided, Aragon. This game is meant to be one-sided, Aragon.
Every single game has been closer than we've expected. Maybe this one lives up to the hype. We saw Fourth Wall, they did better yesterday than I expected, and I think a lot of people expected. They didn't roll over and die in the early game, at least. They had a clear plan. Unfortunately, they just didn't quite execute it. They could see they planned out invades, but, the prior wasn't there. So maybe going forward today, it works out.
Maybe, but their opponents are probably one of the hottest teams in the NLC right now. Ruddy Esports, off the back of that 0-2 start, which looked honestly disastrous. They've really come through in their last three games, put together a decent streak for themselves, and are looking like one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, absolutely dismantling Nord, right? I think it was unexpected for everyone. Loads of people voted Nord over Ruddy, including myself, but it was just a Zapdo masterclass in the jungling. Envy Carry places a ward, then Zapdo sees the information of where Wukong started, and I'm going to reiterate it again because I said it way earlier on the stream, but indecision, saying I walked over a single ward, then lost 3 of my camps, was pretty much how I summarized the entire game. That turned into every single neutral objective, and Ruddy accelerated the game as fast as they physically could.
Yeah, incredible stuff from them. And I like that you highlight Zapdo because he has really shown a renaissance. Was on a lot of carry stuff, but has been more on the stuff like the Maokai. I think he's played 3 games in a row of Maokai, maybe. But tank engaged champions, kind of what we know him for.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think so. I think he's been looking recently, the Sejuani and the Maokai. They've moved away, right, to these tanks, like you're saying, away from the Yi and the Viegas, right? So I think it's very clear that they're establishing more of like a top-centric meta, which is why I'd advocate for a Sejuani ban into Ruddy. I also think you could potentially target the Yasuo for any Yasuo comps that Envy Carry might want to pick up as bans for Fourth Wall. Unfortunately, when you're red side, you're kind of tied to LeBlanc, Nico, Milio, Yumi, and all these nonsense picks, and you don't really get the opportunity, but there it is, this is Roy ban. It enables topside way too much.
Yeah, and you've got a pretty good topside because another standout for Ruddy has actually been Shirhan. One of these players coming in, didn't know much about, and has done pretty well for himself. For Fourth Wall, though, I think we've got a few more known names in terms of Blink Chimera coming out of the bot lane, especially, but the roster fundamentally hasn't quite been able to click this split.
Yeah, and just one thing before I forget. I have been informed by the coach of Ruddy that we are in for a spicy cooking pick. Okay, an absolutely spicy pick. I don't know what that is. Obviously, I don't want to leak it, but I've been allowed to know that there is going to be something spicy. So we'll have to see what they pick out here. Banning the LeBlanc, indicating that they value the spicy pick over the LeBlanc pick. But maybe they didn't even first pick it. So lots of OPs still left up on the table.
Yeah, Aragon. I'm thinking Yumi. I'm thinking Zeri. What else am I missing, bro?
Milio.
Milio. Cassante. Azir. Yeah.
There's too many, right? Zeri. That's not spicy. Come on. I think... Oh, what is that? That's definitely not spicy.
We'll wait for it, Aragon. It'll come through maybe as we get a little bit later in the draft. We'll forgive someone for B1ing Zeri just considering how strong she is right now. And then Emilio, Nico, standard response.
That lock-in is kind of terrifying. I really hope what they have prepped involves playing against Emilio, Nico. Maybe they're going to be against Emilio Aphelios again. But Coach Kami, shout out to you. I really hope what you're cooking up makes sense. I don't know what to expect. Potentially, this isn't spicy. I'm being baited.
Ruddy Esports baiting people. No, that would never happen, Aragon. What are you talking about? But if we're actually sort of going to serious casting mode for a little bit, this is a very face-up draft. You know what your opponent is going to be picking. Yep. You know that when you leave the Zeri up on the side of Fourth Wall, Ruddy are going to pick it up. You know on the side of Ruddy that when Milio and Nico are available, Fourth Wall are going to pick them up. Yep. You didn't know that the Yasuo was going to be locked in, and I'm feeling like that's pretty spicy.
Yeah, I mentioned that you could even consider banning Yasuo if you are Fourth Wall because they keep playing it, right? They just keep playing it. This is the 3rd game in the row, I'm pretty sure that they played it, and he keeps 1v9ing on it. I remember the absolute 1v9 performance versus Unique, where he just froze on Unique Corn for, I don't know how long, 10 minutes, forcing ganks over and over again. Yeah, way too long, and it was just such a stomp. Regardless now, let's see what you pair off that Yasuo with. Grag's being banned out immediately to get rid of that Gragas knock-up combo, which is extremely standard. Diana Yasuo, maybe that's the spicy take they're going for, into the immobile AD carries. Regardless, jungle bans and knockups pairings banned away for the Yasuo.
Yeah, I think you're just going to be glad that you've already seen the Yuumi, so you know that you're not going to have to contend with Puis Rakan, which has been insane this split. So we're going to need to see that pairing from Zapdo and MV Carry, I think, more than anything, to enable this Yasuo. And I am interested that Ruddy opting to ban the Wukong themselves, one of the sort of main sources of a knockup that you compare with this champ.
Yeah, it's to deny the Nico Wukong combo, right? I'm actually not a big fan of the combo, but I think that's what they're thinking. I think it's a bit too slow for Wukong, but still, banning that away, the AD jungler plus Wukong ult combination. You're probably going to pair off Nico now with some kind of early game, assistance, the kind of pairing. I'm thinking stuff like Viego, Jarvan. But we'll see what Fourth will play. They did play Xin Zhao last time too. I think that could work, but this is kind of the tier below in junglers, and it's a really pinched role right now.
Yeah, it does feel like Yute is sort of having to reach a little bit further than he would like to make stuff work, as that Xin Zhao is going to be hitting the board. So now we're expecting here for Fourth Wall a jungle pick?
Yeah, I mean, this Sona pick's dead. No, this is not happening. There's no chance this is happening. I'd be surprised if this was happening too. Is that locked in? I can't tell, middle top.
No, so Blink, he likes to go for his hovers. I mean, Yute does play a lot of Karthus in solo queue, and considering the state of Fourth Wall's split right now, they could go for it, but instead, it's going to be a Poppy likely going towards Molto.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be real. This composition is terrifying. Ivan, if this is the spice, I am sorry. I'm talking hovers. I should never do this because I'm always going to get debated. But I'm just looking forward to these picks. I'm not going to be debated by the fiddlesticks. No. But look at that composition from the side of Fourth Wall. There is so much CC. And NV Carry was talking yesterday about how he was piloting Yasuo in one of the worst comps he's ever seen. This is exactly what I'm seeing, right? It's locked in. Yeah. It's locked in. It's Fiddlesticks. The spicy pick was Fiddlesticks. The AoE fear, you got to consider, can you cleanse the AoE as Milio? The problem is Milio cannot cleanse himself from being CC'd, so I guess he gets CC'd and can't cleanse everyone else. I really like it. It's super interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, even if we're just talking thematically, right, Fiddlesticks probably very, very scary, and that's going to force Milio to run away if they're meeting, IRLZs. This is great from Ruddy. Not only have we got the spicy Fiddlesticks coming through in the jungle, but we've got Shihan's Darius, which has been banned so many times already this split.
Yeah, no, Shihan, phenomenal Darius. I probably played against him solo queue at one point. Really, really good. And you're taking this into Molto's potential flex Poppy topside. This is a flex, though. So Molto does have a counter in Darius. I'm thinking some kind of range champion like Kennen was one of my go-to answers. Yep. You can do Renekton. That's also a decent matchup. Of course, there are way more, but...
Nico jungle?
Is that... no, it's Poppy jungle for sure, right? And maybe Karma top or something like this. I think that might be the go-to. Yeah, there we go. It's Molto's Karma top. But I did allude to, range top laners being good into Darius because you just kites and Darius can never catch up to you. Yep. Karma isn't the one I would have gone for, but they are clearly going to stack Enchanters here for Blink's affiliates.
Yeah, and I like that we are focusing towards Blink because I think he has been the shining light for Fourth Wall a lot of the times. Getting in fed seems to be like a pretty good way for them to find decent spots in these games, but going up against Ruddy, who have drafted absolute madness here, I think it's going to be difficult. I
think we've got to talk about the Fiddlesticks. I think we've just been avoiding it, because it's so out of left field. But the idea generally is, you farm up, and if you get your clears interrupted early, that's the idea. You get counter jungled, and you don't make it to level 6. It's pretty miserable, right? But can you do that against the priorities and the enemy jungler? I think you can versus Poppy. Poppy might be trying to make plays in lanes, and if your laners survive, and Fiddlesticks manages to get to 6 for free, I think Zapdo can do some real work, and if there's any jungler who would pull out Fiddlesticks and make it work like the Master Yi, I think it's Zapdo.
Whoa, hold on. You said like the Master Yi.
He did get a really nice dive, I remember.
He did play it well. Ultimately, maybe not the cause of that loss for Ruddy, but you're hoping for a different outcome to those Master Yi games. Because it's a big gauntlet to throw down, considering that these tanky engage style picks have just been working for Ruddy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. These tanky engage style picks, I mean, that's also the current meta, right? You have just these bodies in front of you, these Cassantes, these Vi's, these Wukongs, and stuff like to buy space for your AD carry to hit. You have a Zera Yuumi, right? I guess in a way, Fiddlesticks can do that. If Fiddlesticks can gank from Fog of War, get a massive AoE, fear off, it just gives loads of time to Zeri to be unleashed. Maybe that's the idea they're going for, but I think we'll have to see. Only Zapdo really knows, I'm guessing.
Yeah, apologies for not being completely up to date on all of my Fiddlesticks knowledge. Maybe there's a couple of people in chat that know what's up with that. But in terms of what this game is going to mean, I think a lot is on the line here, because we have got 3 teams currently sat at 2 and 4. Fourth Wall are the only team at 1 and 4. If they lose here, if this loss streak that they're on continues, then they're going to be falling off pace of not just the majority of the league, but the teams that are just above them. So for Fourth Wall, winning, very, very important as we are heading on to the Rift for the last game of the day.
That's an interesting fact.
That's a very interesting fact.
He's not in any way Korean, I'm pretty sure, and he's just from London, and he can. That's really impressive. Wow, what a difficult language to be able to speak. Well done, Shihan.
You're not talking about like Latin alphabet either, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be real, I have zero knowledge of Latin, so I have absolutely no idea what you're referencing.
So the Latin alphabet is like the normal characters that you use day to day. So like A, B, C, D, all of that stuff. Most of that is based off of
I see what you mean.
Old like Roman characters. That's why it's called the Latin alphabet. There's a few things that have been pulled in there from various places as well, but that's what it looks like. I'm just so intrigued to see what Zapdo is going to look like in these fights.
Wait, Malto's lost his flash.
Is walking into the Baron pit and is going to have to flash away. That's not the way that you wanted to start this lane.
Yeah, so typically what you're going to do on Fiddlesticks is you're just going to full clear and try to farm up, get to that level 6. But now you potentially have some cheeky lane gank potential, or wrapping around with that flashless Malto. If Shihan can get a flash hook, I actually see potential for a single gank there pre-6, which is very, very uncommon for a Fiddlesticks. So I would like to see how he adapts to that. Maybe Zapdo can find something cheeky. But still, really, really not good. Malto, it's incredibly important when you play these ranged top laners to be able to punish and bully under the tower as you push, as the enemy, for example, Shihan, CS is under the tower. But I don't think that's possible anymore because of that threat of a gank.
Yeah, and you see that this wave is slowly coming towards Shihan's tower. So if he's able to hold a freeze just outside of tower range, then this is going to go disastrously for Malto, especially without that teleport.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's matching Ghost. Yeah, that's really disastrous. If he gets ganked and dies here, he's definitely lost an instant wave, at least because of that massive wave clear from the Darius. He just queues the entire wave, shoves it under the tower, and you have to walk slowly to lane as Malto. So I want to see how this top lane action will pan out. I want to see how NV carry also will survive this lane phase, and how well bot lane will not get bullied by Chimera and Blake.
Zapdo essentially looking at a mid lane gank. Jinray popping the clone, but MV Carry going to be going back in, is going to root the flash for the fear, the silence, ignite dropping down, first blood for MV Carry.
And I said he was going to full click. Clearly, I have no idea what Fiddlesticks does. I just did not see the potential, but the flash fear, maybe he didn't expect to get ganked because, Malto doesn't have the flash and he expected him to go topside to that Darius lane, but managed to just get flashed on. Jinrace has to force his TP and have a recall before he can potentially get something like the Lost Chapter.
And it wasn't just us getting baited right there. Jinray probably hasn't played against too much Fiddlesticks, I would rage it recently. So Zapdo able to use this intriguing, interesting pick already to get some early effectiveness off. Getting a kill onto MV Carry, a very good thing for Ruddy.
Yeah, and you can see Malto desperately trying to put down some vision, or at least scout to see where the enemy jungler might be. Yeah, you can see, look at his wave. It's brutal, and he just has no idea where Zapdo could be. Maybe he's walking around, but he has to crash this wave ASAP and force a recall. Because if he dies now, like I said, that's an instant wave crash into a wave denial.
Yeah, and I like this from Yute to try and get some vision on the bot side. Maybe look for a mid lane gank as well, as MV Carry very far up, doesn't have flash. Is going to get stunned into the wall. Nice angles, geometry being studied by Yute. Grabs a kill for himself as well.
Oh, that was super nice. That angle onto the wall there after the dash from the Yasuo. I would not have been able to do that. That was super clean. But yeah, you can see this flashless Malto. I don't think, has the hook come out yet? It's really hard to say.
I think it's already used there, and the passive stack's actually dropping off from the hemorrhage on the Darius. If those had stayed on Malto, then he would have been absolutely screwed. But not looking like a great spot right now, as I'm sure Zapdo and Shihan will try and zone him away from a few of these minions if they can.
Yeah, you can tell Malto's faking a recall right there. You see he hopped in the bush so that he wouldn't get dived. And now he's actually stopped Shihan's recall. He could keep chasing Shihan here if there's a ward's potential place in that bush, but it doesn't look like he does. Maybe he throws an empowered Q out, but it does look like he's just going to opt to farm this wave. And now both top lanes are stuck here. Both TP-less. This is a really big thing. When you do not take TP top lane, you do not get these free recalls off. And you just have this stupid mini game of, look, I'm gonna recall. No, you're going to recall. Until end up faking it out.
You'd say, steadfast presence walk out. You just saw that in the mini-map there. We had Shihan and Molto both try and take resets, but it's like you said, when you don't have TP, you want to be getting that wave crashed in before you get the reset. And Molto, well, he wants to head back to base soon, but Zapdo might say it in quite an unpleasant fashion.
Yeah, I mean, Molto has no W and no mana, so if they manage to cancel this, maybe Zapdo walks up. Yeah, there we go.
He's ghosting to the wave, actually. Maybe he's going to try and turn it around onto Shihan. Has that W, is going to get the root down. Pulled in by the apprehend. The heal from the Decimate. And Molto is going to be running to his doom. Surely the hemorrhage ticking down. Zapdo just going to be able to walk over there and pick up the kill. And for fourth wall, this game has not started off well on the top side of the rift.
And this is exactly what we wanted to see. How do we punish Molto? This TP-less, flashless, and ghostless Karma at level 1. And they're doing exactly that. I won't lie, this is a near impossible situation Molto's been put in. Because all that needs to happen is he needs to get hooked once and chunked, and he cannot recall anymore. Realistically though, if Molto had managed to find a recall, he would have just had to drop the waves. So, really good stuff from Zapdo, punishing accordingly, same as Xian.
Real growth coming out from the Ruddy top side. For fourth wall, though, they were able to trade in kind on the bottom side. Yute getting that Drake, and Blink and Chimera have had a fairly easy time in terms of the laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, it's an enchanter bot lane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that we've had this handshake of Milio Yumi, you know, controversial. I kind of like it because it takes all the attention away from bot lane.
Molto? That is not your tower. Ruddy really want to bully the Karma. They're going to come through. Flash is available for Molto, and he's going to use it to get away. But the Enchanter counter pick in the top lane really not working out.
Yeah, it's just really not going as well. This is why I kind of wanted something different. Maybe like a Kennen, you know, something like this. Another big AoE ultimate. It's a lot more safety because your E cooldown is really short and you can just run away really fast. But still, fundamentally, the issue was the level 1, and that's chaining into more and more as Yute does look for an invade, maybe steal away these race camps.
And maybe looks for a play on to MV Carry, honestly. Has the flash, so can get over the wall if he needs to. And level 6, obviously, with the Keeper's Verdict, too. You can get some pretty fancy plays going on the Poppy, but Zapdo also going to be someone that fourth wall will need to take care of, especially hiding over walls like this.
Yeah, no, you can see they're just splitting the map down bot side, bot and top, both junglers, and I'm sorry, I'm groaning every time I see Molto's wave state, and you can see a gank coming in. The ultimate from Fiddlesticks has been used. Molto is being ulted right now. I think he might be dead because of the fear, but it's really hard to say. I think he's been chunked. Look at his HP in the top right. You can see his health bar is ticked down to maybe 200 HP as a dive comes in bot lane.
Yeah, Toaster going to get pushed out of the ult! Oh, that was just bad. Honestly, coming through from fourth wall on the attempted dive, saving grace that Molto's able to stay alive and Blink can pick up some plates, but not as much as they could have got from the play.
Yeah, you can see both plays going wrong on both teams right there. Unfortunately, we didn't see the top side play, but Fiddlesticks ult is a pretty long cooldown, really important you get done. But look at these plates taken for Blink and Chimera. Utter lane domination. Yeah,
Blink going for a very aggressive trade. Obviously, with the red and white guns, you can deal a load of damage and heal it up just as quickly. And I like that fourth wall are continuing to put this pressure down because, to be honest, it's not just enough that Blink is slightly ahead of Toaster. He needs to be gapping him like he is right now.
Yeah, and it's 20 CS lead, 4 plates down. I don't even know if they need to gap as hard as this because they do have a lot of scaling in that Milio, right? It is just a load of scaling, right, with that extra range. Whilst Yumi is broken and Zeri is broken, I think Aphelios and Milio also are. Still, really good news to the side of fourth wall, and you like to see it, right? This team is putting up a fight, they're not just rolling over.
Well, they might be rolling over the bot lane. Toaster hits level 6. The Yumi on his back, throwing for a kill onto Blink. Chimera low, flashing away. Easy double for Toaster. Yute, level 6 himself, may look to try and pick up the Zeri. Is going to be able to do with that ult.
Why do we speak middle class? How many times have we done this today?
It keeps happening.
Today's the day of caster curses. He turns 6. Toaster crucially turns 6 off of that minion, and Blink doesn't realize he's about to turn 6 because he was level 5 right before. And All of a sudden, he presses ulti, Blink just gets run over by the Ghost. And as Molto walks into the bush here, and Zapdo could just point and click fear.
Every time Molto tries to exist in this lane, Zapdo's just here to make it slightly less pleasant. And I need to be careful here because Jinray is moving over. There's a fair bit of CC here on the Karma. The Ghost's going to get popped. Fear comes through. Flash defensively away from that Fiddlesticks as Chimera is here as well. Maybe he wants to go for even more double knock up there with the Pot Blossom as Zapdo is going to be taken down by Jinray. Shihan pulls in two with the Apprehend, gets the passive stacks down, but the Guillotine not going to be enough to take down Molto in time as Jinray gets a double.
And you could tell that Zapdo smelled something funny, you know, like he was like, this is definitely not Chimera. This is not the Milio I just saw down bot side. And he flashes away from a potential Nico route. Still, they managed to catch up and land a double knockup and use the fact that Ruddy are paying so much attention to the top side against them by baiting them with Molto.
Is there something weird in the water, Aragon? It feels like we've had a couple of games to close out today that should have been one-sided. But fourth wall, yes, they're 1k down, but they've got a Drake to themselves, and I think they're doing a lot better than anyone thought they would.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is what I was saying. Yesterday, they didn't look that bad, right? I think yesterday they had a bit of a scuffed draft, but they looked a lot better with their full roster. Of course they would, right? Than with all the substitutes they've been forced to have recently because of unfortunate circumstances. However, the big test in this current meta is how well do you teamfight? How well do you layer your CC? How well do you set up Blink for success? And in this first Dragon, we might just see that.
Fourth wall. They're going to take this one down. Ruddy thinking about a contest. Blink.
The ult?
A little bit isolated here. Toaster jumping onto it, but here comes Yute's not quite able to knock the Zeri against the wall, but the CC is going to come through regardless. Toaster, he's still alive. Why is he still alive? Finally going to get taken down, but Ruddy happy with a 2-for-0 to start off the fight. Molto there could be very annoying on the Karma, but Zapdo is able to heal up so damn much that it doesn't even matter. Pot Blossom going to come through from Jinray as Ruddy disrespect the cooldowns on the side of fourth wall, and that's a one-team fight.
And that was such a massively back and forth fight. I really hope we get a replay of that. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Because at the start, it looks really good for Ruddy with this potential fear, but it gets cancelled. Look, he's channeling ulti. It gets cancelled by the Messi kick. And then, look, watch Toaster. For some reason, he goes in because he thinks Zapdo was going to get his ult off, but Toaster manages to survive anyway. And in the end, Toaster manages to fall, and you just think, okay, this is over. Ruddy is still got their AD carry. They're going to win. Chimera does not have ultimate. He didn't have it for this entire fight. And this just looks really, really damn good. But then Jinray comes in, finally lands that double ultimate, and just highlights why Nico is so broken.
You said that fourth wall were looking much better with their starting mid lane. A 4-1-3 for himself now, putting up a very strong performance. 10 stacks on that Dark Seal, maybe a Medjai's in the near future. But the end result of that play was a potential engage in mid lane as Blink is going to get jumped onto. Shelly charges at the tower, a couple of plates to Ruddy.
Yeah, force an ultimate out from Chimera. That is a really long cooldown. I think it's like 160 seconds or something. So potentially no ult at this Dragon means, you know, really good fight for Ruddy, but fourth wall might not feel comfortable contesting. Maybe they do though, because of how chunked out the person who just recalled was Shihan. He has no teleport. So you can see fourth wall is moving in here to set up vision, despite not having that AoE cleanse.
Blink on that Kraken Slayer first item for the fourth wall AD carry. Toaster not quite been able to match it, and given how much of a spike that Trinity Force is, you'd have to say weaker as it stands. But fourth wall kind of just giving up position around the Drake.
Yeah, and you can see they really value mid lane prio. They keep sending 4 or 5 people to mid lane just to get it so that they do not get pushed in and lose their mid lane tower. And then they move into River together to maintain this control. I've actually spoken to Chimera a few times, and he said this is something they're working on religiously. It's something that was a big problem for them before objectives, to set up that vision as well as getting the mid lane prio. And it looks like it's working. I'm just taking a look at the wards. Only 1 ward left for Chimera. They might not feel too comfortable here as a teleport does come down. I think it's going to be a full-blown fist fight.
Can opt for it, although Blink is quite far away from the Drake if fourth will actually want to contest this in any earnest. Keeper's Verdict is going to be thrown down, blocked by the wind wall. Ruddy going to be able to walk out with that Drake, but they've lost that mid lane priority.
Yeah, it just feels like a bit of a split call from Fourth Wall. Blink wants to get the mid lane tower, threaten that tower there. Zapdo casts an ultimate.
Oh, he's going over the wall! Crow Storm! Fourth Wall trying to catch up Ruddy in their jungler. Defensive flashes back away. No one dropping to the floor just yet, but Toaster looking to change that going forward. So much movement speed, but not enough damage before Jinray falls down. Blink now in a little bit of a 1v4 situation, and the Aphelios is not fed enough to deal with that. Ruddy get a couple of picks off of a Fourth Wall mistake.
And it's just so many circles on the floor. You have Fiddlesticks ulti, you have Nico ulti, but Fiddlesticks wins. And it's just so close. But I do think it goes all the way back to the fact that Blink, he wanted that mid lane power, but his whole team wanted to contest Dragon. So I think that mid lane wave was actually just a dead wave you didn't need to get. You should have come down, contested as a team. At the very least, send your whole team to get that tower, or get your whole team to contest Dragon. Do one or the other. But again, this is exactly what I'm highlighting. Take a look. Blink is in mid lane, but then, oh, this Zapdo channel.
Just eats himself over the wall, fear onto 3, and that creates so much space for Toaster to take over the rest of the fight.
I think the idea is, behind the Fiddlesticks, right, this I'm piecing together slowly, and this is why I kind of highlighted it in Champs League, is the fact that if Milio gets feared, Milio cannot cleanse himself out of it, and therefore he cannot cleanse his whole teammates out of it. So if Zapdo manages to land a massive AoE fear, it's actually a really big Milio counter, because you just cannot, there's no counterplay. And as a fight comes down here...
Molto's dead. No counterplay to that one, it must feel like. Envy carry dashing forward through the minion wave. Chimera feeling every single slice of the sword through his health bar. Jinray knocked into the skies by the Steel Tempest. Yute with a flash to take down Envy carry, but they're not going to be successful. The flash away before Jinray can take him out with one last hit. Shihan healing with the Decimate. But Fourth Wall are going to donate the kill over to Blink in the mid lane, though. Ruddy taking down structures, getting even more gold on Toaster.
Yeah, I mean, whilst the play is great, whilst you punish MB Carry and Shihan, right, you lose a member and you lose the inner mid tower, whilst also losing massive waves topside. Look, Chimera's trying to catch top wave, but you don't really want Emilio to catch that, right? As Toaster rotates the topside as well and potentially gets a couple hits on that inner tower. Does look like it's going to be the end of the siege, though, and both teams are probably going to recall here, maybe set up for that next dragon in 2 minutes' time.
But the key thing for me is Ruddy are kind of pushing the envelope on this game. We've criticized teams for not taking their leads and trying to build as much stuff with them, but it feels like we've got the most significant goal lead at this point in the game that we have had all day.
Yeah, the problem I have is Fourth Wall doing so well, and this is what we keep seeing from all these like lower tier teams. You get to mid-game, you're fine. But then when mid-game comes, your Drake setups, your team fighting, and this sort of thing, you either get picked, you're not on the same page, and that's what these teams need to work on, because undoubtedly, Fourth Wall's comms there were mixed up, right? Someone wanted to get that tower, someone wanted the drop dragon, and they really need to sort that out. Get everyone on the same page for this upcoming one, second dragon, in a minute's time.
And again, I think we are looking for big wombo combos. I think Yute potentially setting him up with the Poppy. We've seen that he can play very, very aggressive and find those key angles when he needs to. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to get that started for his team. But his opposite number, Zapdo, has made me a little bit of a believer in the Fiddlesticks, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, Aragon. Ruddy can play this one again, and I'll be absolutely fine with it. I
really like this jungler. Zapdo is super interesting. He's not afraid to bust out these picks, you know? Yes, he's on Sejuani Maokai a lot of the time, but he's willing to try out these picks if his coach wants him to, because you could tell that it was a coach pick. The coach messaged me, Kami messaged me and said, you know what, guys, we have something spicy prepared into what we know they will rotate with that Nico, with that Milio, and it's going to work, and it did. It paid off in the end.
It's paid off so far. Zapdo channeling up the Crow Storm onto Molto, who has had a very, very bad day.
Yeah, and you can see Jin Race is coming in, maybe trying to find a commiseration play, but I don't think he has the damage. It's just not there. Yes, he's level 12. Yes, he's quite fed with that 5-2 scoreline, but just another angle over the wall, and I don't think Fourth Wall are used to playing against it. They need more vision around these crevices, around these places that Zapdo can ult from. But that's the strength of Fiddlesticks, right? No matter how much you ward, there always will be an angle that he can walk around. He doesn't even have a sweeper. So the fact that he's finding these angles is just really impressive.
Ah, that's because Fiddlesticks actually gets his own special sort of trinket. The effigies, which he can summon, both acting as wards and as sweepers and as great ways to terrify your opponent. Envy Carry maybe going to be a little bit caught here as Yute slams him into the wall, but that tackle not going to be enough to take down the Yasuo just yet. Cooldowns pumped into the HP bar of Envy Carry, but not enough to take him down. It's nice that Fourth Wall are still going for these plays, still trying to make stuff happen, despite the fact that they're down.
I had no idea about that Fiddlesticks thing. I did not realize the effigies actually act as a sweeper as well. Sorry, you blew my mind there.
That's cool, Aragon. Fourth Wall are just starting Baron, and Ruddy are in no position to contest it at all. There's no TPs, there's no flanks, the Chakrams are there. Toaster is approaching on his own. The Baron already down to 4,000 HP. Ruddy, they're not going to get there in time.
Zapdo?
Oh, he's opening up. The Baron is going to be slain in favor of Fourth Wall, but can they get out? Jinray going in. Moonlight Vigil opening up onto Envy Carry. Toaster getting a kill. Blink similarly successful. Jinray going to get chased down in his own jungle, but if Fourth Wall only pay with 2 lives for that Baron, they are going to be very happy.
I want to see when that call started, because I wonder if someone was recalling on the ward. They have a very deep ward by the blue buff. If you look down there, unfortunately, we can't see when it started, but the execution was also really nice, right? They identified that they have chakrams, that they can rush this down. Unfortunately, they had a split call here. Some people wanted to turn. You can see Malta was actually running away, and in the end, they tried to turn again, but by now, it's just too late, and they have to get out. I think if they full committed from the start, there was potential for more. Potentially, but you know, the idea to get Baron and then run away immediately afterwards is not bad too. 2 for 0, but you get Baron. It's a good trade when you're behind.
Yeah, and I can't believe that we were talking about how cleanly Ruddy were looking to close this game out, because
it's the curse.
They've just given over a Baron. She might be too far forward, and I've got to say, Yute has been very good at setting up these plays. That one was not quite as smart. The flash away from the knockup. Shihan with a little bit of the movement. Zapdo finding an engage onto Blink. And what has taken 4 members of Fourth Wall an absolute age, Zapdo does in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and you could see, like, that play looked good for Fourth Wall, but they just kept whiffing everything. Ute whiffed the stun against the wall against Shihan, and then a root whiffed from Jinrace into Shihan, and yes, well done, Shihan, but what are you doing with that Poppy stun? If they land that, then the play happens earlier, then maybe Blink can be collapsed on earlier from his teammates and saved. Unfortunately, it does not happen, and it just goes all the way of Ruddy, and now I want to see how they're going to continue to use this Baron. Yeah. How are they going to siege potentially topside after they've reset and go from there?
It's a difficult question to ask. Baron's going to be falling away soon. For Ruddy, I think now it's just about not making those mistakes. It's just about not overstepping. Yeah. You have hit 2 items on a great timer for pretty much everybody on your squad. You are just that little bit stronger than Fourth Wall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You just look at the items. By comparison, you have more enchanters, which is nice for the side of Fourth Wall, but you are really far behind. You have Redemption. Yeah, I feel like that top lane. Sorry, I'm getting drawn to that top lane inventory. It's really depressing. It's super budget. But that next team fight coming up in a minute 50, Soul Point, we've highlighted how important Soul Point is. And honestly, the AD carries are similarly even. If you take a look in the inventories, yes, Triforce is more expensive, but they are both 2.5 items. I think there's an angle for Fourth Wall to potentially fight.
And I mean, if you can keep Malta, if you can keep Chimera by your side as Blink, and maybe there is that chance, but defending these towers is so risky when you consider the Fiddlesticks, that extra dimension of play that Fourth Wall not going to be familiar with.
Yeah, and you can see they're just getting sieged on. This is exactly what I said. They need to use this Baron to take all the tier 2 inners, and they're going to do absolutely that. They don't want to walk up because they're terrified of Zapdo's random engages as he clears out all these wards. Imagine if this tower is really low, right, and then he ults over the tower as the tower's falling. There's just so much potential for disaster.
And Malto taken to 30% HP by honestly nothing from Ruddy in terms of committal cooldowns, in terms of stuff that you're going to miss being off the board. It's patient. It's very, very slow. Maybe a bit slower than we would like, but Ruddy don't want to give over any advantages. They don't want to give over another Baron to Fourth Wall or anything silly like that.
Fourth Wall are honestly doing a decent job at cross-mapping this as well. You can take a look down bot side. Jinrace is doing the absolute best he can by taking that tier 2 tower. Now you can imagine he's going to recall here and group up with his team to try and contest this dragon. Baron should be expiring soon. You can imagine if it hasn't expired already, and they're going to all move in through mid lane, as Fourth Wall has shown us they like to do, and into the pit. I really want them to drop a bunch of wards around like unsuspecting like locations Fiddlesticks can ult from, because that has been biting them so far.
Yeah, I mean, maybe as flank TP walls for Jinray as well, right? He's going to have access to the teleport very soon himself. And if there's anything scarier than a minion just ulting you for 1,000,000 damage, it's the Nico herself coming from over a wall and pop-lossing your entire team. Yute winning out on the 1v1 versus Zato, able to get the stun against the wall there, and this is a solo kill for the Fourth Wall jungler. This is going to put Ruddy in a bad spot. Toaster dashing forward, still getting thrown into that wall himself as Shihan takes out Yute, but the CC is going to come through onto the Zeri, and Fourth Wall can take her out, but the Darius is taking over the rest of the team fight. The Zhonya's from Jinray will buy time, but it's a triple kill for Shihan, and even if you kill the AD carry, Ruddy can still come out on top.
And Shihan is just putting the game on his back. Comes out of that team fight just having free hit and getting to max stacks, managing to ult Blink and shutting down all the DPS from the side of Fourth Wall. The second that Blink dies, there is no damage, because your only other damage source is that Nico, who is only burst, and you cannot get through all that Shihan's HP. So the second that Shihan manages to find him, the second that Ruddy managed to find him, you know, it's completely over. And it all starts with this nice pick from Yute onto Zapdo.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how that stun hits, but great stuff from him. But you could see the lead that Ruddy have, even when they lose out on their sort of superstar jungler, they can still make it work.
Yeah, and Toaster with a really questionable dash in as his jungler dies, who's extremely strong part of his team comp. But yeah, Toaster, being that as tanky as he is, buys enough time, but she had to stack up, you could see, securing a triple kill. And can I say, Middlecott, we've had too many Darius quadra kill and triple kills in this league. This champion seems so overtuned in the NLC.
Oh, absolutely. Once you get the reset on that Ghost going, it's very hard for anyone to stop you, even a fully charged up Zeri, to be perfectly honest. But Ruddy are going to be happy that the Darius and the Zeri, both on their squad, they've managed to kind of build up a very strong roster of champions here. I look at Shihan, Zapdo, Envy, Carry, Toaster, all of these guys can be a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the problem, right? That's the difference in the compositions. Fourth Wall's composition has one main threat. Yes, Jinrace has a great, ultimate, but that's it. He doesn't have DPS, and that's crucial. It's on Ruddy now to find and engage and find Blink, because the second they find Blink and burst him out, the game is done.
Waiting on the side there. Crucial to this Fiddlesticks' game plan that he goes unspotted as he goes for the engages! And that one looks absolutely beautiful! A double kill, triple kill for Zapdo on the Fiddlesticks. As Fourth Wall is saying Fiddlesticks with how the game has gone. Jinray still a fair bit of damage, but Toaster cutting himself away. Not going to get stunned as it's an ult onto Jinray from Shihan and Envy, Carry, and Ruddy are looking to clean up.
And it ends with the Fiddlesticks. Zapdo manages to find the sick flank from that Golem pit onto the one carry we said mattered, and that was Blink. The second Blink fell, the game was over.
All the small things that have taken down Fourth Wall in this game add up to something tremendous for Ruddy. It's a 5th loss for Fourth Wall. It's a 4th win in a row for Ruddy as they keep up the pressure at the top of the table.
And commiserations for Fourth Wall. They played so damn well in the early game, but just once that mid-game rolled around, that specific dragon fight is etched into my brain because I saw Blink attacking that tower while the rest of his team was trying to contest the dragon. And when you're split calling like this, there's a fundamental error in communication.
I'm just for a second here. I'm actually so annoyed. You hear me? You're gonna hear me. Right?
Yeah, sorry, that was on me. I had you muted. Carry on.
Right, that's one of me. All right. Yeah. So I was kind of annoyed that you were the first one to make a Blink-182 reference, the Middle Cup. But yeah.
I'm glad you got that. I'm glad you got that, bro.
Because I'm kind of like trying to figure out like how would you even like try to like mix those in, but.
Oh, bro, the entire game, that was all I was doing in that game, was how could I incorporate Blink-182 into a call?
I didn't notice it, to be fair.
That's fine. It is a pretty small thing to notice, right? So that makes sense. No, but in general, right, I think that we got to talk about the fact that we had some pretty off-the-wall picks this game. We got to see Comet top, we got to see Poppy move into the jungle, and we got to see Fiddlesticks come through, right? Those are like the three like standout picks for me. And obviously you talked about the handshake, but like, Aragon, talk to me about what went wrong for Malto. Like, should be a decent matchup, but obviously the level 1 kind of changed everything.
It's brutal, right? You get counterpick topside, your team trusts you to have counterpick topside, and to win your lane, potentially come out at least even, right? And be this enchanter facilitator for your team. But he gets his flash blown and his ghost blown crucially early game, which just sets up for so many ganks and dives, and it's so easy to set up on a ranged champion without flash. You just flash forward and hook, and you have your jungler there, and they're just dead.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing is it could have been even worse for Malto, right? There were a couple of plays towards the top side that he escapes on around about 100 HP. And there is absolutely a world where Ruddy could have, instead of making plays on other parts of the map, just go, we're going to brutalize top lane, we're going to get a Rift Herald summoned in here, we're going to make sure that Shihan is 4-0, but they didn't need to because the rest of the map did well enough to carry.
Yeah, and I think that for me, like watching Sapto get one of these like carry jungle picks to work was like incredible to watch, right? Because like just seeing this Fiddlesticks go absolutely ham, picking up triple kills, picking up just so much action was super fun. And again, you move over to the other side of the map, you see a Poppy in the jungle moved out of the top lane as well, middle card, right? Like it's just a lot, like very fun jungle game to follow this time around.
Yeah. And I mean, credit to Yute. I think he messed up one early, but he actually had some decent proactivity coming out from the Poppy. You saw that pick onto Zapdo at that sort of penultimate dragon fight. I think there's a real chance of fourth wall in this game, and that's been the theme of the day. The team that you don't expect to win gives it a much better shot than they have any reason to, but as it stands, it's mostly been the teams that you expect to win coming out on top.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it was, I'm really glad we didn't just get, because we predicted that teams would just roll over, right? In these past two games, putting it bluntly, we thought this would be 15-minute stops. They just weren't, managed to put up a fight, at least up until mid-game. Was it unique and a fourth wall at the end? Putting up a fight against our top two teams in Verdant and Natives. I'm really, really impressed.
Yeah, and like there was like another thing that's also was interesting was that the jungle fight that we ended up like following well. It ended up being a 4 versus 5 that ended up going over to the side of didn't go Ruddy's way, but it went fourth wall's way, right? And then in the top side, Shihan was just farming away, trucking away, getting the top tower, getting a full set of plates. So even though like they did end up winning the fight from the side of fourth wall, overall they were kind of down on the play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you could see that set Shihan up for success later on, securing that triple kill. The fact that he managed to get all these plates and the free tower and the free farm whilst, the play did go well bot side. In the end, when you have Darius, this is where he thrives. When there's not that much DPS on the enemy team, when there's not that many targets, if the DPS falls and he's fed, no one else can kill him, and he can just stack him and get like quadras and pentas, and we've seen that in the NLC.
Yeah, and also another thing that really struck me about the way that Ruddy ended up playing this game was the instant response to turning level 6 in the bot lane after being behind in levels. And then just like instant like Swift picks the double kill, right? Like that type of like determination is great to see from this team.
But I think that play it's even more important when you consider that Blinker just picked up a load of gold from plates being given over to him and zoning Verdant away from not Verdant. Zoning Ruddy away from that bottom lane. It's been a very long day, I apologize.
It has really been.
But getting that kill was crucial because otherwise Blink is coming back into that lane with a significant item advantage, and the double kill completely neutralizes that.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. They played off of a cannon, I'm pretty sure, because cannon gives you a massive spike in XP. All of a sudden hit level 6 and pull the trigger. That was a really nice heads-up play, and it was pretty worrying if they didn't get that.
Yeah, another thing that I have actually played a surprising amount of Poppy jungles. Is like for me watching this game, what was fantastic, right? It was kind of like a Hibrain's LeBlanc moment yesterday, right? Kind of the same way, and kind of the seeing you'd say pick up like the leftovers from like here and there, and just kind of struggling a little bit, but like on the score part of this, it was actually a pretty good game coming through from Yute.
Yute's been a weird one for me because I think his week one, he didn't look as used to engage champions as I think maybe you would like. There are a couple of cataclysms that involved him trapping his own AD carry in range of an Annie, and that's not good. But I really think he's starting to come into his own as this a lot more aggressive style. There were so many of those fights where it was just him going forward and trying to kill someone on Ruddy, and you need that when you're a team like Fourth Wall, who is in the dumps and is kind of just reaching for something.
Hit brain. Sorry. Casting with hit brain too much. Middle cop. Before we get to the interview, I need to ask the question: who's the MVP and why is it Zapdo?
It's Zapdo because he ran the entire damn game.
Didn't he? He was beautiful, wasn't he? I can't even think of anyone else who could be. No, it was Zapdo.
Genuinely, like, broader conversation a little bit about Zapdo. Maybe we'll have to have this at another time. But he has been very impressive coming into the league as someone that had low expectations, I think, from a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone else also been very impressive over the last few weeks have been the support for Ruddy Esports Huey. So we're going to have an interview ready with you. So hello, how are you doing? You are muted.
Work now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
It had the wrong mic selected. Well, I'm happy. What can I say? We are in a 4-game win streak, I believe. So that's unbelievable. And well, not unbelievable. I guess we could have been 6 games if we played better. But yeah, I'm happy about it.
That was a master year and some other interesting things going on that kind of prevented that to being a 6-win streak, right? But I kind of want to talk to you about your own personal performance, right? Because I think it's no secret to anyone that that first week in particular was really rough on you. A lot of people kind of had doubts whether or not you actually was able to perform to the standards that was expected of this Ruddy team. And you've been able to turn it around here. I guess that is a pretty great feeling on a personal level.
Well, yeah, in the first week I can say that I played worse than I did those weeks. I guess it was also my first time playing in a Div 1, so maybe that had something to do with it. I just started to not get, what's it called? To not be shy when I'm playing. Yeah, to not get nervous when I'm playing official games. So I'm happy that I improved and that I'm playing better now.
Yeah, because that was something that I noticed about the fact we had Don Jake on for the interview after your guys' first win. And he was very vocal about giving a shout out to you because you had a really rough week 1. And I think that we saw that as well coming through when you started to pick up the Soraka, for example, completely shutting down the entire, the Yasuo coming out from the opposite side of the field. What would you say is your preferred style of supports? Is it these supporting enchanters of the likes of the Yuumi and the Sorakas, or do you prefer playing let's say Pyke, for example?
Well, I'd say yeah, it's not enchanters, not at all, but if I have to play them, I'll play them. I don't mind. Even today I had to play Yuumi. I'm happy I dealt more damage than my mid laner, so what can I say more? 13 damage more, okay?
That's still more, it counts.
Yeah, it's still more, but I love playing Rakan, Ruel, and Pyke, I'd say. Those ones, I really love them. They're my favorite style of supports. I love not letting enemies base, canceling their base in lane, and playing really aggro in lane. But poorly, the meta is not that meta right now.
Now, we have seen quite a lot of Rakan, but I can see that the Pikes, for example, not necessarily something that's so popular. Yeah. A last question for you is, you team up with probably the most experienced AD carry in the league in Toaster. What has that given you having such an experienced ADC by your side?
Well, I guess he can give me a lot of advices. I'd say he advises me a lot when he sees that I'm doing something wrong, and I'm usually trying to do what he says because of his experience I know that I should trust him and do as he says. And yeah, I think it really helps me improve a lot.
Glad to hear that. Thank you so much for your time, Puri. And congratulations on yet another 2-0 week.
Same. Bye.
Interesting to hear that, guys, right? You look a little confused, Millicott. Anything in particular makes you seem a little confused?
Vita, that's what my face looks like, bro. Please don't do me like that. That's just what I look like, okay? You said that I was looking confused. There was no thought in my brain, so maybe I was confused there. But I was not actively being confused. Appreciate that. Love hearing from Pui, actually. Really, really nice guy. Really nice attitude. And I think it's great for him personally that after having that rough start, that Ruddy have been able to put a little bit of this streak together, and he's done it on multiple different styles, which is even cooler.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like the fact that, I mean, moving away a bit away from Pui, but like as a general whole team, whenever in regards to styles, they settled on a style, playing more topside focused team comps with the Sejuani enabling topside, with the Maokai and weak side bot lanes with Toaster. Whilst they are still weak side bot lane, they've actually put Zapdo on a carry, right? And that's very different. I like the fact that they're changing styles. They're not just playing the same thing over and over again and just enabling topside with the Sejuanis, you know, and the tanks. Yeah, no, I feel like they knew that people would ban out the Sejuani Maokai like Fourthwild did and prepared something new. That's great.
And it's kind of interesting because like a lot of people talking about the fact that the Zapdo guy, he's a Nuno one trick. That's what we're going to be seeing. It's going to be Nuno and those type of champions. And he's just kind of started to showcase a bit of a champion ocean, I feel like, at this point, right? Like, we're digging deeper and deeper into it because like, we're reaching like the lower depths of the ocean here, right? Like, we've seen Master Yi. We've seen the Fiddlesticks. And obviously, we've seen the meta picks as well. And I'm like super excited to see what they're going to bring out next week, Aragon.
I'm worried. I'm worried, right?
You're worried?
When do we change patches? To 13.3?
From 2 weeks from now.
Okay. So it's not going to be new cooking just yet, but I have heard info. I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, but they are also practicing, right? They are practicing preemptively guessing what the new meta will be. That's why when, for example, Shikari is playing tanks, and they're saying that's the only way to play. What Ruddy are actually doing is they're playing carries because they, for example, predict the meta will change, so carries or something like that. So I like their foresight, right? They're changing things up. They're trying to play new things that they predict will be good, and they're practicing it now and getting the practice in for playoffs. I think that's really, really smart. And just shout out again to Coach Kami. I think he's doing a really good job on that team.
My big question is, what's the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Because we know MV Carry, Toaster, these are Div 1 ERL players. They are very, very good. Zapdo and Shihan, Pui as well, are starting to form themselves into that mold. And I think Ruddy rightly occupying a place towards the top of the standings.
Yeah, we can't expect it to be this trio, right, going into the season, Aragon, of Natives, Verdant, and Ruddy to a certain extent at the top of the standings.
That's exactly what I was going to say, right? I was going to say, like, do you argue that Ruddy's the best team in the league now? They still had a bit of a shaky early game, but they looked a bit more stable than Verdant and Natives today, specifically today. I think that's still a trio, but potentially more of a duo with Natives and Ruddy. I still do think it's all up in the air, and we'll have to just see how they are in playoffs. I think it's going to be a case of everyone beats everyone, and then Fnatic wins. You remember that old meme?
Oh,
but
my
we'll have to see
word.
who wins on top.
Yeah, no. Fnatic Rising ain't been around for a while, but I don't know. Yeah, the standings at the end, that'll be how good the teams are.
Yeah, a bit of a silly statement.
The table never lies, right? The table never lies.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, you didn't want to vote a Veneer today, but let's take a look at the results coming through from today. Verdant taking down Domino. Expect a result. Veneer taking down Nord. Expect a result if your name is Middlecott, who's now 1 point behind me. Then you have Unique versus Natives. Natives taking that one in expected fashion, but not in the expected game pattern that you might have expected going into it. And Ruddy taking down Fourth Wall in a pretty close game as well. So let's jump into what the standings are going to look like. This is what they are looking like right now. 2 teams at the 5-1 in Verdant and Natives. Ruddy, the only 4-2 team in Domino in the free slot. 3 teams at 2 and 4, and then Fourth Wall at the bottom. The lonesome 1 and 5 Aragon.
Yeah, finally seeing a bit more separation between the bottom and the top, right? But still, that middle of the pack is so damn close. I've been talking about who is the 4th best team in the league. Like, after every single game, I'm like, oh, they could be the best 4th team. And now I see why. They're all just 2-4 and 3-3. It's unbelievable.
I feel like we've got a better fit for the level of the league, right? Yeah. I was looking at Veneer at the start of the day, I'm thinking, you don't deserve to 1-4. They got that W, right? And now sort of sharing that position alongside Nord, alongside Unique. It does feel like our teams on the sort of right-hand side of that scoreboard have got sort of fairly unique issues that they need to address. Teams on the left, certainly not without fault themselves, but definitely getting a better start to the season.
Yeah, and I think that's something we could kind of talk about that we've been predicting stuff. Let's take a look at the predictions from today. So, Middlecott, you have a perfect 4-for-4 here, which is... well, bad news for me, and probably even worse news for Veteran, who is not here on the stream today. And Aragon, So close to a perfect day here for you, right?
That Vanny call was so smart, because if you get it right, if you get it wrong, it's only 1 point. But if you get it right, you're the only one to get the point. And it was such a close game on paper. I wish I did it. I really wish I did it. Nice job, Minicop.
Let's all remember the big loser from today, Hitbrain, who went for the 50-50 on the first game of the day. Didn't end up working out for him. I'm sure he's going to recover though.
Yeah, I mean he is on his way towards his goal at least. But let's look at the players of the day here. You guys voted for Nida in game 1, Liam Cole in game number 2, Vladdy in the third game of the day, and then Zapdo finally here, guys.
Is that 2 Azirs?
That is 2 Azirs. Shout out to the skins team. I don't know if anyone has said that, but League of Legends skins, they look pretty damn good in those splash arts. Obviously, a lot of great plays across the day.
I think it's tied. I think it's Liam Cole or Zapdo. I'm kind of biased against Azir because I think he's one of the best champions in the game at the moment. And I just think the performances from Zapdo and Liam Cole, mainly Zapdo because, you know, he went off meta and it was very fun to watch. But Liam Cole, I don't think he stepped a toe out of line.
No.
Whereas Zapdo got picked, you remember? I think it might be Liam Cole.
Might be. I think his positioning in teamfights was absolutely incredible. Shout out to Harbo at the end of the day as well.
True.
You played really, really good. If that game had ended quicker in your favor, you would probably be on that vote. We may be looking at you for day MVP. But I think bottom line is that teams that maybe we didn't expect to perform as well today doing very, very good stuff.
Another thing I want to highlight here with Sap, though, he could potentially pick up 2 players of the day in the same week here. An absolute statement week coming through from this rookie jungler, as you guys have been alluding to. So I think that, again, it's super important. You remember, our votes don't really matter. It is the people's vote over on Twitter at NLC LOL. So head over there if you are in the audience watching right now. Share your vote on Player of the Day. You've had the input from our lovely casters to make your decision.
Yeah, go over there. Use Twitter.
Interactions.
Can't believe I just asked people to use Twitter. What a horrible thing to say.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, let that be the closing note of this broadcast of this week as well. Over on Twitter at NLC LOL, there is where you're going to find the Player of the Day vote. My name has been Weed. I've been joined by the lovely Middlecott and the lovely Aragon. We will be back next week with more action from the NLC. Thank you so much for watching.